All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ANZAC Super Series 5, New Zealand versus Australia. We're here at the ABA in Auckland, New Zealand on the 28th of July. With you now, Isaac Savage, and a bit of a superstar beside me, Josh Nicol. He's had about 30 amateur fights, one pro. He goes by the name The Lawyer. Josh Nicol, how are you, buddy? Welcome here, and so happy to have you on board.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Brilliant view of the fights here.
And where have you come from today? Did you drive in from somewhere else? How long was the trip up?
From the Waikato, so Hamilton. That's where I'm based. So I just came up after lunch. So hopefully a few good fights here we can comment on.
Yeah, man. It's so far so good. It's been an action-packed afternoon of fights. All the fights have been so well evenly matched, and I've been keeping a bit of a tally actually because, you know, sometimes it's a little bit one-sided, but it's actually 5 apiece for New Zealand, Australia at the moment. And
oh, nice.
On this card here, we've got Nicol from New Zealand in the red and Charlie Bell from Queensland, Australia in the blue. These guys look probably similar to, a bit lighter than you. What did you fight at, Josh? What was your weight when you were fighting?
I was 69 kgs for pretty much the entire time I was an amateur. That's where I won my best competitions.
And you've probably fought quite a few of the legends now that we have. Like we had earlier commentators, Shay Brock, you know, the Bowen Morgans. You probably fought some of the guys now that actually have held titles, right?
That's right, yeah. I fought Bowen Morgan in my 13th fight, actually. I was. It was a pretty close fight. I think I was pushing in the queue a little bit. We both lost points based on holding and wrestling, and then the referee said basically next person to foul gets disqualified, and that was me, so I got disqualified. But before that, I'd beaten Shay Brock, so that was a big win for me. And
obviously now you've got your quals as a lawyer, and like we were talking earlier, that's what a career path, and it probably doesn't or boxing wouldn't be always too healthy for that because it takes quite a bit of intelligence and high level of IQ to be a lawyer, doesn't it?
That's right. I've always tried to keep as defensively sound as possible as a boxer, but of course, you jump in the pool, you get wet. You jump in the ring, you're going to get hit at some stage. So you kind of have a long boxing career as a lawyer.
Yeah, no, and going to meetings maybe with black eye or stitches in your face could make things a little bit interesting. And look, speaking of that, this round's absolutely flying by. I mean, Nicol in the red, he's certainly pushing the pace onto the Aussie. Charlie Bell, he's still, he's holding his guard. Both fighters are relatively aggressive. Shay and I actually were talking about earlier. These fights are very, very hard to judge, and we're so glad we're actually not judging and just commentating today because
subjective.
We've got the 3 or 4 judges there, different angles, and they're looking at different things. They're seeing the fight on different sides, and they look for different things on where the shots are landing. I mean, look at that right hook just landing as the bell rings, and hard one to call. And we always try not to call the rounds, especially in the later part, because it's so commentators curse, and it can always go a little bit haywire. I heard too back in your day, you're quite a power puncher. You like to come forward and tag and bang, or do you more defensive?
Yeah, I was defensive until I start to get hit. So ideally, I wouldn't get touched at all. I'd be on the outside. I'd be toesing up my opponent without getting touched. And then when they do touch me, that's when I just think, okay, right, I can't be perfect anymore. So I've already lost the Mayweather game plan here. So now let's just go and bang.
When obviously you're watching the fights today, your brothers fighting around the world, and you're somewhat still involved. Do you ever get the itch to jump back in again? And you can't say that you'll never jump back in again, right?
I'd say I will be jumping back in there. At the moment, it's definitely not a priority for me. I'm just focusing on work, staying fit with running. But at some stage I'll box again, but not in the same serious way that the bro is. I'll leave it to him to carry the family name in boxing.
Yeah, that's a fair call, and you might need the odd round or two, and he can call up the bro to get you in.
Tell you what, this kid from Hastings, he's improved a lot. Like I remember seeing him a long time ago. I think those might be my old boots. I think I sold him those boots.
And how close? 7 degrees of separation, eh?
when he bought them off me, I was like, "There's no way you'll fit these." And
He squeezed into them.
Yeah, he's grown a lot.
So that's Samuel Nicol there in the red from
that's
Hastings.
Right. Yep.
And Charlie Bell there in the blue. And maybe it's the the good luck charm of your boots that's edging him forward in this fight, because he's certainly taking it to the Australian today.
But hey, like you said, no commentator's curse, please. Let's keep humble until he gets his hand raised, which hopefully he does. But they're both looking good.
We're talking about earlier. Well, there's a bit of blood now out of just as we talk about, there's a bit of blood there from Samuel Nicol. We're talking about headgear earlier, and you obviously had your fights, your 30 amateurs with headgear. How did you find the difference?
No, not all of them.
Not all?
So I was half of mine were with headgear.
Okay.
And then they changed over. I think it was 2000.
How did you find it going from headgear to no headgear? Did you prefer?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it with no headgear. No, yeah, it's like
that sort of peripheral vision can be affected at times, and depending on how big the headgear is.
Yeah, I'd rather. It's kind of like getting in the ring with the headgear on is like getting in the bath with a wetsuit on. I don't like it.
Nice. You're not doing the real way of putting it, And would all probably rather have a bath without the wetsuit. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a perfect way of putting it. I might actually copy that line if you don't mind.
All right. Okay. I'll just get the trademark on it, please. Yeah. But no, it's just not the real thing, like. And it's also more of a target. Your head's more of a target, and I don't think it offers you that much protection. Maybe cuts. I think that might be what it's mainly about.
Perfect.
Cuts.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, we see fights where someone does come out with the headgear, and they do act a little bit more cagey. They don't see those overhand rights, perhaps because the headgear could be blocking it, and maybe that extra confidence and coverage, they just use it to block up at times. So
yeah. Hey, from memory, I think it was 2013. That was the last year we had headgear. 2014, then the headgear were off, except for novices. Females still were wearing headgear, and the juniors and youths were wearing headgear. On the topic of blood, do you reckon that might be swaying the judges a little bit? They're only human. They might see blood and assume, that the guy in the red who's got a bloody nose might.
Well, that's a very good question, because what we've been seeing so far is the judges have been watching everything based on points.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is more of a pro fight, perhaps. However, they still might be watching every pinpoint punch land. So you never know, though.
But we're not counting. It's not computer scoring, though, is it? So you judge the round based on your impression of it, and that does often have all kinds of stuff can come into.
It could be swaying the judges in a way that may not favour the Kiwi then, and we're soon going to find out.
Yeah, we'll soon find out. But no, he's boxing well, and he doesn't seem to be too distracted by it.
The only reason I say that too, because we saw a fighter earlier with the bloody nose win, but they were certainly more aggressive.
That's good. Well, that's good to know that the judges are able to separate what they're seeing from the blood, or the skills they're seeing from the blood. But I didn't see that fight, so I can't really comment on.
Good to see both fighters standing. They're ready to go. It's always a good sign, right? I mean, sitting down. Some people believe, what are your thoughts? Did you stand or sit down in between rounds?
I've never sat down in between rounds before. Never have.
Just not your thing, not your style.
So it's just a gym culture thing. Like when I first started boxing, we never sat down in between rounds, so you get used to that, and then you just make that your thing. It's what you're used to, I guess.
Third and final, the money round, as they say. That blood's cleared. We're seeing Samuel Nicol from the red coming out quite aggressively there. But
so his shirt will be not tucked to the referee's standard. And they're back into it.
Samuel Nicol there in the red. Charlie Bell in the blue. Been pretty even so far, and like I've been saying all night, I do not envy the judges' job tonight.
Nor do I.
Stellar lineup today. Regan Foley's put on about 60 odd fights, and to put them on and so well matched is a feat in itself. When was the last time you actually came up to an amateur or watched some live boxing?
Josh? Quite recently. I think we saw, what was it? Well, I've been to quite a few with Fitness HQ, which is the gym I'm aligned with at the moment. It's Cairo George's gym. So we've got a few fighters there. Quite inexperienced at this stage, but we've been to quite a few local tournaments and a few up here to support the boys there.
And saying that, look at these guys. It's just a sort of stand and bang fight at the moment, tit for tat.
Yeah.
One guy comes forward, the other guy comes back. It's so well matched, and even.
Yeah, nice right hand there by Sam.
Landed on right the button of the Aussie.
Yep.
Bit of a push there from Nicol.
Yeah.
Blood starting to stream down a bit more, but not too bad.
Both fighters are real sharp on their feet still. You know, you wouldn't think this is round 3.
Yeah, we've been saying that all night. These guys are so fit that, you know, it could easily go more rounds, but just the way it is in the amateurs, it's a max of 3, isn't it?
Yeah. Except for WSB, World Series Boxing, which they extend out to 5 rounds.
We've had a couple of Kiwis actually go and compete over that, your brother included.
Yep, he's still undefeated in the WSB. So, you know, his O has yet to go.
Love that saying, and you know, that's a pretty good feat in itself. You know, the golds and that accolade is it's quite an amazing feat.
WSB is no joke. Like, every fight he has there pretty much is against stiff competition. And yeah, of course, his Com Games wins were all good too.
Probably not too much longer to go now. Both boys are thrown down, and how hard is it for the judges watching this to,
pretty hard.
You know, they'll have to just be right on the edge of their seat, looking to see where those punches land, if they're landing accurately, nodding the gloves.
Yeah.
Bit of a body shot there from the Aussie.
Little sneaky body shot at the end. It was good. At this part of the fight, that's definitely worth investing in that. Well, you'd expect the body shots to have more effect, we know, once you're as tight as they will be now.
It's such a hard one to call. You know, both guys, the 10-second clap has just gone.
Yeah.
Both boys are starting to throw down,
Just
rack up those points.
A bit scrappier.
Bit of a pat push as they head away there.
Yeah.
And how did you find it? You know, the rivalry is always pretty strong between the Aussies and Kiwis. Did you actually get to match up between many Aussies in these sort of amateur tournaments?
Yeah, I actually never lost to an Aussie, so I'm proud to say that. So I've had 3 fights against Aussies. 2 was they're all against the current number 1. One was Nathan Webber. That's where I won Oceania Gold in Canberra. 2 was against Fano Corey. He's a guy from Sudan, or originally from Sudan. So I fought him twice. So I guess that's my 3.
Nice, hey, and that's something to be proud of, because we were talking earlier, these Australians seem to have a little bit more of a tactical, scientific style opposed to the Kiwis.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, definitely get some just rough, rugged Aussies though. I mean, like,
Now we go to a judge's decision. I'm not going to call it, and I don't think you are too.
No commentator's curse here. Let's see, eh?
And what's it going to be? You know, were those boots a good luck charm, or did the Aussie do enough in the judge's eyes?
I think either guy will be hopeful here.
There you have it.
Well done to Samuel Nicol. Hard luck to Charlie Bell. Obviously, one judge saw it his way. But yeah, those fights can always go either way.
You know, that's a good thing. Like, a good call earlier to see if the blood does deter or sway a judge. And obviously, he did enough work, and the Aussie didn't come through. And you know, could have been the good luck of those boots. You sold them all those years back.
I'll claim it. He's obviously come a long way. Good on you, Sam. Keep it up.